أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. It is narrated in al-Fadl by Shaykh al-Saduq that Ali ibn al-Husayn al-Sajjad alayhi salam said, "May God have mercy upon al-Abbas, who preferred his brother to himself and sacrificed himself for his brother, as a result of which both his hands were cut off by the enemies. God granted him 2 wings so that he can fly in paradise along with the angels, in which God did the same for Jafar ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Abbas alayhi salam has such a high rank near the Blessed, the Sublime God, which all the martyrs envy on the resurrection day. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad." Sayyidina al-Abbas alayhi salam is one of the most important figures in Islamic history. But many of us don't know why he achieved the high rank he has today. So today, inshaAllah, we will look into why he was so great by looking at the following. What does Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam say to show his greatness, and how is that shown in Karbala? Who sends their peace to him in the ziyarah, and what is the significance of that? What does the ziyarah say about his patience, and how is that shown in Karbala? What does the ziyarah say to show us his sanctity, and what moment displays that in Karbala? We'll dissect this in complete depth, inshaAllah, bi barakat salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So what does Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam say to show his greatness, and how did he display that attribute in Karbala? Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, "كان عمي al-Abbas ibn Ali alayhi salam نافذ البصيرة صلب الإيمان." My uncle al-Abbas ibn Ali alayhi salam possessed penetrating insight and unwavering faith. Basira, or penetrating insight, religion, it's the eye of your heart. Okay, we have our physical eye in which we see things, and basira is the eye of your heart. So as an example, we all desire some things. Let's say our desire is music. With let's say our ears, we may like music, we may desire it. But what's important is what the eye of our heart says about music. I'll give you an example. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he was walking with one of his companions, and he asked him, "You guys don't commit sins. Why is that? Is it that you don't desire anything? Or is it like you're robots," as an example? Like, I'm just summarizing what he's saying. He said, "Come here, I'll show you something." So they went to a butcher, and the butcher had a dead carcass next to him. And he said, "Do you see that dead carcass?" He said, "Yes. And if you guys have ever been around one, you would never want to be around one ever again." And so he said, this is how we look at sin. Why? Because of basira, the eye of the heart. So Sayyidina al-Abbas alayhi salam, he had the same thing. He had that basira. Imam al-Sadiq, he says, "Nafidhu al-basira," penetrating insight. And he showed that on Karbala. How? When Shimr ibn al-Jawshan, he came to him. And Shimr ibn al-Jawshan is from the same tribe as Sayyidina al-Abbas's mother, al-Baneen. If everyone can pay attention, please. From the same tribe as al-Baneen. He said, "Here I have a letter saying that I can grant you and your brother safety, the other sons of al-Baneen, because you guys are from the same tribe as me. Another one of Sayyidina al-Abbas, his cousin, Ubaydullah ibn Abbas, he had the same offer from Muawiyah. But Ubaydullah ibn Abbas, he doesn't have what? He doesn't have basira. So he took that offer and he left. He took the 1,000,000 dinars and he left Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. Sayyidina al-Abbas, he had the same offer from Shimr. So one of the calamities of this is he's giving safety to Sayyidina al-Abbas because he's from the same tribe as him, but they won't do the same to the grandson of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. No, that person we will still kill. But this person, because he's from the same tribe, I'll grant him safety. So Sayyidina Abbas, obviously he refused. He said, no, you don't grant my brother safety, but you grant me safety. He refused the offer because of basira. We should all work to build basira, to see the realities of certain things. Now, in the ziyarah, we read something at the very beginning. Everyone reads this maybe every Friday night or so, or we should. Or every Thursday night, sorry. سلام الله وسلام ملائكته المقربين وأنبيائه المرسلين وعباده الصالحين وجميع الشهداء والصديقين والزاكيات الطيبات فيما تغتدي وتروح عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. Who sends their peace to Sayyidina al-Abbas in this ziyarah in the beginning? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the closest of the angels to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the messengers and the prophets, and the righteous servants, and every single martyr and person who affirmed the messages of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the beginning of time till now, they all send their peace to Sayyidina al-Abbas alayhi salam. Why? Because Sayyidina al-Abbas alayhi salam, he embodied their messages. The messages that were sent with the prophets, with the messengers, that message he embodied it, especially on the day of Karbala, on the day of Ashura. And due to his sacrifice, the message was kept. Because if it weren't for Karbala, we wouldn't have the guidance we have today. That's why Imam Husayn alayhi salam made his revolution. At that time, Islam was just a name. It wasn't being followed. After his revolution, people started to take it seriously. And Shia started to gather every year like we do and remember Imam Husayn alayhi salam and learn about Islam. And as I said before in the aforementioned hadith, every martyr, not only do they send their peace upon Sayyidina al-Abbas, but they envy in a good way the great rank he will have on the Day of Judgment. Ghibta, as the Shaykh mentioned before. What is the difference between ghibta and hasad? See, the Imam is very specific with the word he chooses. Ghibta is good, hasad is bad. Ghibta, both of them at the end of the day are wishing for something from that someone has. But ghibta is, as an example, I look at Brother Muhammad and I say, I want that shirt he has. I say it looks really nice. May Allah continue to give him blessings and give me the same blessings he gave him. But hasad is the opposite. Hasad is if I were to say, or if I were to wish that that blessing be taken from him. That's the bad envy. That's the envy that's haram. And that's one of the 3 root causes of sin. There are 3 root causes: arrogance, envy, and greed. So anytime you sense that you have any envy in your heart, or even something that comes before envy, like if you were to look at someone and say, why does he have that? Why can't I have that? Push that from your heart. Because it's only going to get worse after that. But in a good way, every martyr will wish for what Sayyidina al-Abbas has on the Day of Judgment. What does it say after that in the ziyarah? It says, أشهد لك بالتسليم والتصديق والوفاء. Means you bear witness in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Sayyidina al-Abbas had taslim, tasdiq and wafa. Taslim, submission or acceptance. Submission and acceptance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Imams. And tasdiq, affirming the message of the Nabi and the Imams. And wafa, loyalty. He had unconditional obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Imams. There's a story about a man, his name was Kulayb, during the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. A man came to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and he said, we know of a man, his name is Kulayb. Kulayb, every time a hadith reaches him from you guys, he says, I accept. Because through logical evidence, he believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Through logical evidence, he believes in the Prophet. Through logical evidence, he believes in the Imam. So unconditionally, he accepts what the Imam says. Because he knows this is the guide. I don't question the guide. And that's actually where the word Islam is derived from. Islam means submitting. So you'll realize after everyone takes their shahada and everything, and obviously and hopefully due to logical evidence, they submit their will to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that. It's also mentioned in the Quran as an example. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. A lot of people think taslim over here means saying salam. It may in a certain definition, but here it means submission or acceptance of the Nabi's message. Or وَلَمَّا رَأَى الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الْأَحْزَابَ قَالُوا هَذَا مَا وَعَدَنَا اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَصَدَقَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَمَا زَادَهُمْ إِلَّا إِيمَانًا وَتَسْلِيمًا. When they saw what the Nabi said to be true, it did not increase them except in faith and what? Submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unconditional obedience. Now what does the ziyarah say about his patience? And how is that shown in Karbala? The ziyarah says, فَجَزَاكَ اللَّهُ عَنْ رَسُولِهِ وَعَنْ أَمِيرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَعَنْ الْحَسَنِ وَالْحُسَيْنِ أَفْضَلَ الْجَزَاءِ بِمَا صَبَرْتَ وَاحْتَسَبْتَ وَأَعَنْتَ. بِمَا صَبَرْتَ. May Allah reward you on behalf of His Messenger, on behalf of Amir al-Mu'mineen, on behalf of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, the best of reward for which you had patience. For his patience. And there's a term for what I'm about to talk about. It's called jihadun nafs. You guys are all familiar with the term jihad. It's one of furu'ud-din. It is known as religious word. But where is the word derived from? Juhd. Jihad means intense struggle. And that's why it was given as a term for religious war. It's intense struggle. But jihad al-nafs is what? Intense struggle within your soul. If everyone can pay attention, this is a bit important. Jihad al-nafs is intense struggle within your soul. It requires patience. When you desire something so bad, when you're about to commit a sin, you face a struggle within your soul. Your soul, nafs al-ammara bis-su', tells you do it. And the good side of your soul tells you not to. And then you're there battling and you're trying not to do it. That is jihad al-nafs. The intense struggle within your soul. So Sayyidina Abbas alayhi salam, he faced that during Karbala, during the battle of Karbala. And one of those moments, the moment that explicitly shows that, is when Imam Husayn alayhi salam sent him to go get water, and he battled his way through, and he got to the riverbank. And once he got to the water, and everyone who's been to Iraq, you guys know how hot it is there. Throughout the entire year, except for a couple of months, everyone knows how hot it is in Iraq. Or if you don't, may Allah reward, or may Allah grant you the opportunity to do ziyarah there. So he got to the water, and imagine one of those hot days in Iraq, and he carries the water in his palms, and he can feel the coolness of the water. But does he drink it? A lot of people would have drank, but he remembered his Imam Husayn alayhi salam. So now there's jihad al-nafs. Your nafs starts talking to you. So what does he do to show us as a great example of jihad al-nafs? He drops the water. And he says, يا نفس من بعد الحسين هوني وبعده لا كنت أن تكوني هذا حسين وارد منوني وتشربين بارد المعين تالله ما هذا فعال ديني ولا فعال صادق اليقين. O my soul, after al-Husayn be humbled. After him may you no longer exist. This is Husayn now approaching death. And if you do exist, do not drink the cool refreshing water. By Allah, this is not the conduct of my religion. Such an act is not the way of one whose faith and certainty are true. See how he's training his nafs. One of the scholars, I believe it's Shaykh Jafar al khfaji, a man came by him one day and he heard him talking to himself. The scholar was talking to himself. His name is Jafar, but if you guys know in Iraqi slang, when they want to do tasghir, or like give a nickname, they say Jafar. So he was telling himself, you remember when they used to call you Jafar? Because he was a Bedouin before. So you remember when they used to call him you Jafar? And he's humbling himself. Why? Because when you become a scholar and people start praising you and so on, your soul starts to tell you to become arrogant. So he's humbling himself. So now, why does the ziyarah say to us, or what does the ziyarah say to us to show his sanctity? And what moments display that in Karbala? So when the ziyarah says, لَعَنَ اللَّهُ مَنْ قَتَلَكَ وَلَعَنَ اللَّهُ مَنْ جَهِلَ حَقَّكَ وَاسْتَخَفَّ بِحُرْمَتِكَ. So he attained such a rank where in the ziyarah, when the Imam mentions him in the ziyarah, may Allah withdraw His mercy from the one who killed you, and from the one who is ignorant of your right, and the one who belittles your sanctity. Sayyidina Abbas alayhi salam. Why did he earn the sanctity, as we mentioned before? Because of those attributes, and because of his sacrifice in Karbala. And the moment in Karbala where that really shows, where Sayyidina Abbas had that honor, is when Imam Husayn alayhi salam approaches him after he was martyred, and it is narrated in the Maqatil, he says, الآن انكسر ظهري وقلت حيلتي وشمت بعدوي. Now my back has been broken. Everyone knows your back, your spine, it's what your body depends on, your nervous system. If it's broken, you're paralyzed, you can't do anything. That's what Sayyidina Abbas alayhi salam was to Imam Husayn. My strength has failed me and my enemy rejoices at my misfortune. Because Sayyidina al-Abbas, the reason why he was kept to be the last one in Imam Hussein alayhi salam's army was because he was the backbone. He was the main supporter. He had the unconditional obedience. A lot of the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the other Imams, they would question them and not understand that they're the guide. But Sayyidina al-Abbas, he understood that because of his basira that Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam mentioned. هذا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.